In the last few years, I started to think about my connections and my responsibility to the environment. I was thinking as a dance maker what I can do to encourage reflection and provoke thoughts about our future of our living planet. The title of the piece, Vox Lumen, means light as the voice.
We're trying to describe how humans rely on technology in sort of an almost post-apocalyptic setting, where light is now a method of survival and our dependency on it is articulated through the dance.
I think the concept is really fascinating, a world in which there is no light. You know, without getting too pop culture, it's very Matrix, it's very what we've all kind of been talking about for the last number of years. The idea that our environment is shifting, that our world is changing, is not a new concept. So this is very reflective of what's happening currently in the world.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to achieve a show that is self-contained as a unit or off the grid as a unit.
I was born in Hong Kong, and we struggled a lot when we were young. And growing up like in a really small, confined space with my family, we didn't really have much resources.
It's really made me think a lot as a performer to try and put myself into that world, to really imagine what it would feel like to live in a world without sun. It's so hard to really wrap your head around all of the different things that would mean and all of the different kind of emotions and states of being that would kind of bring out of you.
The experience of working with William is unique in that he's very specific in what he wants, but also allows the interpreter to really interpret, to really go into their own ideas and own worlds and own characters, of course with his guidance, but you really have the freedom to do that in his work, and I find that to be a really great part of working with William.
Even if you're not looking, think about your thought is still like relating to the subject behind you.
I was always very creative from very young age, and I feel like my creativity is rooted in the time that I was growing up with a family that with very limited means, and I was the child that always had to improvise and recycling materials to make my own toys and games to entertain my cousins and my siblings. And I think using imagination and being creative became an integral part of my life.
The next thing is you sort of like pick up this leg and then you jump that leg out. That's beautiful, yeah. Turn out there.
Technology has become such a fundamental part of our lives, and I think artists, trying to integrate them in order to broaden the potential of the dance art. I try to make good use of the kind of new media technology in a different way in every single work. I think it's so important for me to use it in a way that it's not distracting, and also it has to be in harmony with the dance and movements. I want to humanize technology in my work, in almost like, that the audience would see the whole thing as one.
VOX Lumen is sort of a proof of concept project for me. It's demonstrating that one would be able to work on an extreme power budget So we're generating all of the power that we need on site for the entire show. I actually originally came onto the project really just talking about energy and different ways that could be captured through different types of renewable sources or just on-site sources, and came in after William had been doing a number of experiments and projects around trying to find different ways of capturing energy, kinetic, solar, etc.
William came and met me. I'd known William from before. He's done some dance projects, and I think even a couple of years ago he started saying he wanted to do it with renewable energy, and I thought, wow, that's ambitious. It's not easy, especially in this cold, dull climate that we have.
Better Current, when we met them, they had been developing essentially charging stations for cell phones that were set up in shopping areas, essentially. They'd have a solar panel on them, they'd have a battery integrated into the base, and then a platform which you could get some charge for multiple devices.
Our technology evolved. I got some more panels, some bigger panels, and thought we could do it, so we combined our power cube, which integrates the solar charging, the battery storage with the solar panels, and so we were able to say, yeah, we can provide 4 power cubes, and hopefully that'll provide all the power we need for the dance performance. The solar panels are essentially the generator, so these 2 panels combined produce 200 watts, so 100, so 200 watts coming into the power cube. The power cube can store about 1.5 kilowatt hours of electricity, which is quite a bit, so that's enough to power, some lights, maybe a stereo system and a laptop computer for a couple hours.
What we're trying to do with sustainability is to provide for our needs today without compromising the needs of the future.
June of last year, I got asked to do it, and then we sat down in a room, all of us, in July with the set that Ian's been working on for a while, to start to think about how we might integrate light and what sort of things might be interesting.
VOX LUMEN is also an entirely self-contained production, and it's just ready to transport anywhere. And we actually nicknamed it VOX in a Box. We want to be able to just pack it all up together, and then we can perform it anywhere in the world.
It presents a lot of challenges because puts some really serious limitations on the kind of equipment that we can use, where I can hang lights. I can only now hang a light somewhere that is something created by the set. I can't use an overhead pipe to hang a light where I might normally hang a light.
The origins of the set for VOX LUMEN come from some sketches that William made when he was first starting the project. He had an interest in combining organic forms with mechanical or futuristic or mechanistic type of contraptions. We started with the idea of something sort of tree-like, sort of trunk-like. We always wanted something that would also reach out overhead, knowing that we were going to be dealing with the fluidity of his choreography and movement of the body, but also that we were going to be talking about the creation of light and the artificial creation of light, not just harnessing the sun directly for the light, but how we would then create light through various types of kinetic, solar, and other types of energy capture.
Today is the last day of the week-long residency, and we're going to pack up and go back and re-evaluate, the whole thing, and we have production meetings, planning for the energy fair outside the theater. It's really, really nerve-wracking. Like for instance, the biggest challenge now we're facing is the audio. The audio system we planned to use before was too power hungry. So we need to look for a new system that it will fit into our requirements. I have faith that this piece would go into, something that I would be really proud of.
A couple of days before we opened, or the day before we opened, was the first time that we used only our own generated power. Approximating the house opening and going all the way through until the house cleared, we ran the show entirely off-grid. So we knew at that point, and had no way of knowing before that we could take an evening-long dance concert and power that completely off-grid with energy that had been captured on-site specifically for that purpose.
So I think what's interesting is so much of the sustainability work that's being done in the last 5 years, whatever, is built around, in fact, how do we make light more efficient? We're getting to the point now that light can be generated with so little electricity that through the simple act of a person turning a crank, like if we think about a crank flashlight for a couple of minutes, can generate enough light to light up a room.
We positioned a number of things throughout the lobby. We'd capture some additional energy from the energy fair outside that were connected to some of the handheld props. So that somebody, either by hopping on a bike or turning a crank, would be topping up the electricity needed to use the light bulb props and the bases as well.
I think it's really important to highlight the positive influence of technology. I think technology allows us to feel, to see, to experience such a different part of our lives, and that's why I love integrating technology into my choreographic works.
Theater is a microcosm for the world. So because theater uses up so much energy and so much materials, it's pretty much one of the most wasteful industries. If theater can have an eco-focus and basically bring in line all of their wastefulness, it should be easy for everyone on a day-to-day basis to replicate that.
So the biggest takeaway is that it works. It can be done. We could approach any other project at this point, be it dance or other type of performance, and work with the same design principles for designing the system and scale that to theater, scale that to another dance show, have a different message, and know that it's going to work.
I think with shows like this, it kind of illustrates to people how accessible eco-technology can be. Like LEDs are everywhere, solar panels are becoming more and more popular, and if people understand that they can apply those technologies to everyday life, I think we should show them that in every manner possible.